Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneurs Podcast, where innovation meets sustainability. Building a better tomorrow today. We interview changemakers and visionary leaders redefining success for the planet. Here you'll find inspiring stories and solutions that matter. Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneur Show. Today's guest is Paul Goldberg, CEO of Carbon Neutral Ag Sciences. Paul leads a company dedicated to providing sustainable solutions for agriculture, focusing on water conservation and soil health. Their innovative product, BountiGel, is a biodegradable soil amendment that helps farmers manage water resources more efficiently, especially in drought-prone areas. We'll discuss the challenges of introducing new technologies to traditional farming, the impact of water scarcity on agriculture, and the future of sustainable farming practices. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. And if you could, I'd be interested to hear if you want to start by telling us about Carbon Neutral Ag Sciences and what inspired you to develop BountiGel.
So, My background has been buying distressed assets in the manufacturing area, so mostly in chemical plants, food plants, things of that sort. A couple of years ago, a gentleman I did business with was shipping orchids from the Netherlands to the United States, and you get paid based on the condition they arrive in and whether they arrive alive and the condition. He was making what he called thick water, which was adding this product called BountiGel to water, so that when it traveled over here for 6 weeks without any nutrients to be added, his orchids were arriving doing better than anyone else's. He was getting more money, and they were arriving alive and in much better condition. Problem is, it was owned by a private equity firm that was not having consistent inventory or consistent pricing, so he asked me to look into it. And even though I have no agricultural background, I grew up in New York and didn't see a blade of grass until I was 16. I thought it was a very unique product, and I said, let's take a shot. So we bought the product and really weren't sure what we had. And we had some customers that were very loyal and devoted to it, but we wanted to learn more about the product. So BountiGel is it's a soil amendment, and what it does is it reduces the irrigation cycle. Basically, it works like a traditional SAP, meaning it holds water in the soil, except ours has what's called a double cross-link, which gives it the mechanical strength to hold water, release water over a period of up to 3 years. And during the course of that time, it reduces the amount of water needed, the amount of fertilizer needed. It has creates a higher germination rate among seed, up to 38% higher. Trees have a much greater survival rate with this product, because the whole objective is if you can get your water continually fed to the roots, not just when you water it in the morning or not just during a rain, but it's like a bank account of water in the soil. The roots can reach for this water all day, 24 hours a day, and combining that with fertilizer, you're finding a healthier, more vibrant, more robust tree, a healthier, a better looking piece of fruit, whether it's the bricks content in watermelon, however they measure certain other things, the size of them. So that's how BountiGel works, and it's been proven through over 50 trials in the soil from Africa to Egypt to Florida to work. It's worked everywhere we placed it, whether in Jordan with Del Monte or sugarcane growers down in Mexico.
Amazing. That's a wonderful application, wonderful product to use. I'm glad you found it and have been making use of it. The USDA has recognized BountiGel as biodegradable. How does this certification impact your business and open up new opportunities beyond the agricultural sector?
The traditional SAP was made with something called polyacrylamide. Polyacrylamide works wonderfully, and it allows for a cheap, inexpensive version of an SAP or a hydrogel. The problem is that polyacrylamide leaves microplastics in the soil. So the problem being that you want to eliminate microplastics, which is a worldwide problem right now. Whether it's PFAS, microplastics, it doesn't matter. Anything that's contaminating soil. As a matter of fact, there was a study that was recently put out that 20 million acres of farmland in the United States has been condemned due to environmental issues, microplastics, PFAS, or other conditions. BountiGel can be safely placed in the soil and not cause any legacy problems, and that's huge. Now, The USDA came to us to do a study because they wanted to replace that green polystyrene foam that's used for bouquets, outdoor type of floral settings. And they thought BountiGel would be an alternative to that. We didn't really know what the project was about. We didn't learn until later who funded it and what the purpose was. But the result was the USDA tested our product to be biodegradable, and it turned out to be biodegradable. We were surprised because no competitive product or product in that category has ever been called compostable or certified compostable or biodegradable. Ours was the first. I'm very excited because last week we met with the head of a company that's very, very successful businessman who's trying to create a plastic-free diaper. A gentleman who founded a company called Square. The USDA introduced us to Jim, and now he's going to put out a plastic-free diaper, and the gel inside will be BountiGel. Now, diapers, which are they're destroying our landfills with diapers because it just doesn't ever go away. Now, you're going to have a plastic-free diaper for the first time. So now they're looking at BountiGel, not just in agriculture, not just in diapers, but in the transport of frozen food. So if somebody orders, something online that comes frozen, they have those packets to keep the food cold. How do you dispose of that? You can't put it in the regular trash. You can't put it in the compost pile. But with BountiGel, you can now dispose of it safely. So we're starting to learn that it's not just in agriculture, but anywhere in which somebody has the intent of having a plastic-free world or a plastic-free environment, BountiGel now replaces the sodium-based or polyacrylamide-based hydrogels that are out there. And that is exciting for our future.
That sounds very exciting. That's great to hear about the different applications that you're finding and the different kinds of sustainable impacts that it can be having. I'm curious, introducing new technology to farmers who have used the same methods for generations can be challenging. What strategies have you employed to encourage adoption of BountiGel amongst traditional growers?
That no matter how many times we get knocked down, to keep picking ourselves up, because you just said it yourself. We have guys who reach out to us. It's kind of interesting because here's the thing about farmers that I've come to learn. Their office is their home and their coworkers are their family. So they look at business and they look at economics very differently. They have to make sure that every dollar that goes in the ground is going to bring back 3 or whatever their factor is. But they know that this is essential. So the farmers, they're very disciplined on how they spend their money. Most farmers will say, well, my grandfather did it this way. My father did it this way. I do it this way. The younger generation, I'm 66, so I could say this. The younger generation are more open-minded to change. They're the ones who are saying, our world is going to be a different world. There's going to be less water. There's going to be more plant protein-based food than animal-based protein. We want to prevent the fertilizer from running into the streams and the rivers, causing, red tide and all the other environmental issues. So the younger generation is really the ones that we're finding are more open to it. And hopefully in time, we'll be able to persuade some of the older ones. But it's been a challenge, and it's been extraordinarily difficult. Because logically, you can prove your case. You've got case studies to prove it over and over again. We have sandy soil that never had a yield. We could show them in that sandy soil, you can now have a yield using BountiGel. We have a farmer in Colorado. A young woman took over her father's family farm. They were growing watermelon. There was a section of the farm in which they couldn't grow watermelon because the soil was very sandy and it was very windy. So it made the conditions very, very difficult. She used BountiGel through a grant she got from the state of Colorado, and she had the highest yield ever in that spot, the highest bricks content and the most per acre number of watermelons using BountiGel. It was really phenomenal. And that's the kind of thing that we never would have had that opportunity if her father was still running the farm. But because the young woman took over, she researched us. I mean, we're not the easiest company to find. We're not Yara or the big fertilizer companies. We're a small company. She found us, she researched us, used it. That's really rewarding. That's what gives us a reason to get up every morning. We're slowly starting to have an impact.
I'm glad to hear that for you, and hopefully more and more that people start using it, having these kinds of impacts, the diverse industries that you'll be involved in, more and more people become aware.
And our competition, by the way, are the largest companies in the world. You're talking about BASF, Evonik, some of the biggest companies in the world, but they make theirs with polyacrylamide. SNF, another big company, they all use polyacrylamide. So for us as a small company to go up against these multi-billion-dollar, multinational, multi-continent companies has been a challenge. But Abraham and I get up every day and we keep swinging.
Well, you got a David and Goliath story going on here.
Absolutely.
And I want to check, water scarcity is a pressing issue for many farmers. How does BountiGel help mitigate the effects of drought and support sustainable crop production? You've already mentioned a lot about this, but if there's anything else to add.
No, I think the important thing is that when you place this product in the soil, it's going to hold that water. So when you have a drought or you have too much, best example I can give you is we have a customer in Panama, and Panama rains 1 month out of every year. Just rains every day like a deluge. And then it doesn't rain. So the first problem is how you don't get overrun by water. And then how do you have water in the other area? By using the BountiGel, like I said, it holds that water in the ground. So if they place it at the right time, we'll overdose it, meaning we'll put more product down, hold the water, and then it'll release it throughout the course of the year. That's how we've been able to address one of those other issues. So there are different strategies depending on the soil type, also what type of climate they're in. Like we have a customer in Mexico, and what they like about the BountiGel is during the middle of the afternoon when the sun is beating down, that's when the plants are going to get weak. They're going to get vulnerable to illnesses and disease. The BountiGel will continue to release the water throughout the course of the day, so that again would mitigate any of the problems that you have with lack of water. So there's a lot of strategies, and Abraham has had, I don't know, 7-8 years experience working in the fields with the growers. So he's really good at understanding what's the best way to work with each customer. And we insist that before anyone puts the product in the ground, that they speak to us so we can create a protocol with them so we know that they'll be successful. When you're building a business from start, every customer is an opportunity to succeed. You got to be as point on as possible when you're starting off as a new company with a new product. So customer service and making sure that you're on top of things with your customers. I mean, we had a customer who we kept telling you don't put it through the drips line, and he puts it through the drip line because he thought he knew better. So staying on top of our customers, making sure that we're always in sync with them and communicating with them, that's a very important part of our business. It's as important as how the product works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, proper application and relationship. Glad you're making use of that. Looking into global expansion and partnerships, you aim to establish strategic partnerships globally to distribute BountiGel. Can you share more about your plan for expansion and how you're identifying potential partners in different regions?
Yes, we are growing strictly through strategic partnerships. We've learned that it's very difficult for us to go farmer to farmer and build our business successfully. We're now working with strategic partners in a variety of ways. And I have a strategic partner in the Middle East, for example, where in Saudi Arabia, you're no longer allowed to bring polyacrylamide into their country. So now that was a big part of how they grew crops. Now, Saudi Arabia is committed through the NEOM project and through one of the other projects there to become a sustainable country where they're growing their own food and vegetables. And they're in the desert with heavy sandy soil and very limited water. So working together, we've been able to establish that BountiGel is a healthy resource to them to help them grow in that sandy conditions. But how was I sitting in New Jersey going to launch that into Saudi Arabia? So we have a company there, K+S, for example, is one company in which we're working together. They're putting it in their bag with their fertilizer and then distributing for us or selling in Saudi Arabia. And the cool thing for our strategic partners is traditional fertilizer companies, what's the difference? They all have the same product. They all have more or less the same price. Why do you buy from this company versus that company? Now, with the advent of specialty fertilizers and specialty products, BountiGel adds a water management component to the traditional inputs. Now you can have strategic partnerships in which you take our product and add it to the traditional input, whether it's in a seed coating, whether you're putting it with adjuvants so that it adheres to the leaf longer, it doesn't dry off, whether you do with fertilizer, so you're reducing the amount of fertilizer and you're eliminating runoff, whether you're doing it with seed, so you have a higher germination rate. All of our strategic partnerships are based on the fact that we bring a dimension to their product, which augments their performance and value and differentiates themselves from the competitors.
Wonderful, wonderful. Also, I want to check, looking ahead, what are your goals for carbon neutral ag sciences? Are there other products or innovations in development that you're excited about?
Our company itself, when I first bought the company, we had a laboratory and our scientist who invented BountiGel working with us. Then COVID happened, and he was an older gentleman, and basically we lost we lost all of our assets in California because of it. The landlord went bankrupt. We don't have a lab. What I am looking forward to now is working with the larger companies. That's where our future is, in strategic partnerships with large companies that have evolved distributorship, which have laboratories that can develop products and have a sales base where they're a presence in different parts of the world where they can introduce our products. We're doing a study with a large company down in South America, Clarion, where they're taking our product and bringing it into chicken farms. So traditionally, chicken farms have had a problem with excrement. How do you handle that? You have a high ammonia content. It's affecting the weight and the health of the chicken. It's burning their feet, which is making a whole nother problem. And the survival rate was down in the low 80s, high 70s. By using the BountiGel, you're eliminating the ammonia because the BountiGel is holding it. In the past, they used things like sawdust or gypsum or different types of soft minerals. Now, what they're doing is by using the BountiGel, BountiGel holds 250 times its weight in water. Some of these other things maybe 1-to-1. You're now absorbing all the excrement, and now you're preventing the burning of the feet. You're reducing the ammonia in the environment so that you have a healthier, heavier chicken. And then the best part is you take the material on the floor, which now has a high nitrogen content and ammonia content, and you're bringing it out in the field and you're using it as a slow release fertilizer with a water management. You're basically making fertilizer out of excrement, and all of this is biodegradable. It's a 360 product that serves two purposes and then back around, so then you're feeding the chickens again. This is the kind of future that I'm excited about. Sustainable, healthy. It protects our environment, it protects our animals, and it makes for a healthier, more sustainable way of growing crops.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are some impressive numbers talking about the water, the weight that it can hold beyond itself 250 times. And I love to hear about those different solutions that are coming into play. To check with your timing, do you have 5 or 6 more minutes? I've got either a few questions or I can ask you one closing one.
If you want.
Okay.
You got a better feel for this than me. I'm just talking. How's it going? How do you think it's going?
Great, and I love to hear especially that excitement. I mean, that's something that I find beneficial, and I hope others do as well, finding what's inspiring you. And then, when I heard that, I'm inspired to hear about these kinds of solutions. So I think it's going wonderful so far. As you work to expand and introduce BountiGel to new markets, are there specific areas where additional support or resources could help you achieve your objectives?
We are a startup in every means of it. I mean, it's basically myself and Abraham. We have a product, and I'm self-funded. In order for us to grow, we need strategic partnerships. That's what's been able to push us forward and open the light to all the new uses. I never would have thought of diapers. I never would have thought of frozen food delivery. They're now doing a study where forest fires or these horrible fires out west are being put out with fire gel, but the fire gel has polyacrylamide in it. So you're solving a problem by creating a problem. So our future is really based on strategic partnerships. We're working with Honeywell UOP to work with elimination of PFAS. PFAS is one of the most environmentally horrible nightmares that America and the whole world is dealing with right now. PFAS is a microplastic that the body cannot break down. So once it's in you, it's over. And they're saying that as much as 8% of all farmlands will be closed because of PFAS. This is something that we were able to work with. One of the ways they were dealing on Superfund sites where they had PCBs and oils was they were putting, again, a hydrogel that had polyacrylamide. Again, solving a problem, creating a problem. Now, the EPA is got test projects out there using BountiGel to clean up those oil spills. So you're not creating the problem. That's the future for our product. It's got multiple uses, and we need either the government or we need private industry to help us bring the product forward so that this product can perform a role for our environment and our society for a better, healthier, sustainable life. That's what we're hoping to achieve. And we're slowly getting there. A couple of years ago when I first got started, we were like the ugly guy at the dance. Nobody wanted to talk to us. Now, the USDA is promoting us. We're getting great response from people. It's been a phenomenal turnaround in the last 6 months. And to me, the future is very, very bright. I think the world really is aware now that plastics in our soil, plastics in our food, plastics in our body is just not a way of living. And if you have something that can serve a purpose that doesn't bring plastic into the world, let's try it. Let's use it. And as our price point continues to drop, and it gets closer and closer to what the other products are, I think we're going to find more large companies turning towards us and saying, we want to be in a plastic-free world. Let's try to incorporate your product. And as fertilizer companies and the advent of biologicals are changing how agriculture is done, the water management component will be essential. As fertilizer and nematicides are, I think at some point a water management component is going to be as important. So I think BountiGel is poised to be a very, very serious product going forward. And I look forward to creating more and more strategic partnerships as people become aware of us and bringing it to the world. I mean, there's just so many aspects of our life that plastics are hurting us, both physically and environmentally. We are not we're not a sole solution, but we are a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. You seem like a very
If you're not contributing to the problem, contribute to the solution.
I like that. I hope so. And to check in encompassing, it might be the opposite of kind of what you mentioned about the issues with plastics, but I'm curious, what excites you most about the future of sustainable agriculture and the role of carbon neutral ag sciences will play with it?
I think I think what the younger generation is learning is how water is essential to the health and the growth of agriculture, and that plastics in the soil is what's going to destroy farms. Farms are going to be condemned by having PFAS and plastics in the soil. I think BountiGel is one of the unique products that will go on much greater in the future than it does in the past or the present. As people become more and more aware of sustainable options out there, I think we're going to be at the top of everyone's list when it comes to water management. That makes me excited. I see BountiGel in so many different applications, and having the support of so many different organizations, which the EPA is doing studies right now, in which BountiGel is included. The USDA is doing studies in which BountiGel is included. The largest companies in the world right now in agriculture realize they must have a more sustainable outlook. And I'll say this to you, most companies want to have the word sustainable attached to their brand, but most of them aren't going to go out of their way or spend extra money or cut into their profits to be sustainable. When they start to realize you can be sustainable and still make more money, that's going to really be the differentiator. Right now, everyone thinks of sustainable, or they think of organic as something that's a lot more money as a consumer, but it really shouldn't be. And the same thing with sustainable products. Sustainable products aren't that much more, if at all, more money. It's just getting the open mind to realize it. And the more that this kind of information gets out, people like yourself who are promoting sustainable, healthy lifestyles and sustainable, healthy practices in our environment, that's when BountiGel will keep getting the attention it deserves. And then I'm hoping that a large company comes along and says, we can figure out how to put this into everything. Step aside. And that's my goal.
You seem poised and on trajectory for it, so I hope that for you. I hope that maybe through the show here, somebody either is themselves or knows of somebody who would like to have that conversation with Paul. Well, I appreciate what you shared so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how carbon neutral ag sciences and yourself continue to innovate and support farmers and everyone else beyond. Do you like to check anything that I didn't think to ask or anything else you want to add?
I just want to put our website out there. It's the name of our company, Carbon Neutral Ag Sciences. Abraham and I, just write to us on the website or read about us on the website. If you want any additional information, just write to Abraham and I. We have studies that we can show you from different farms in different countries on different continents. We have different studies by the USDA and the compost societies to show you how safe the product is. Whatever information you need to establish our bona fides, we're here to provide that. And we just hope people come and look at us and give us a chance.
Absolutely. I'll make sure under the episode in the show notes, there's going to be links to the website, social media. And thank you so much again for being on here.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.